Have you ever wondered if you're truly in control of your own choices? Or if someone, silently, has been pulling the strings behind your mind? It may sound dramatic, but the truth is, invisible psychological control is everywhere. And the scariest part is how quietly it operates. It's like a slow-working poison, served in doses so subtle that you don't even notice you've swallowed them, until you're no longer sure whether your thoughts are really yours or planted by someone else. This kind of manipulation doesn't just happen in movies or spy stories. It might be hiding in your romantic relationship, in the way your boss talks to you, in the ad you saw earlier today, or even in that opinion you swear is your own, but may have been shaped long ago by someone with intentions you never noticed. And why does it work so well? Because it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like concern. It feels like care. It feels like love. That's what makes the game so dangerous. Psychological control works by exploiting your vulnerabilities, your need for validation, your fear of rejection, your desire to feel safe. The manipulator doesn't scream, they whisper. They don't push, they guide. And before you realize it, you've already given in, already surrendered ground, already handed over pieces of yourself. One of the most cruel and effective tools in this kind of control is gaslighting, where your reality is so subtly distorted that you begin to doubt your own sanity. They say you're too sensitive, overreacting, not remembering things right. Slowly, you stop trusting your own eyes, your memory, yourself. It's like living behind a fogged-up mirror. You look, but you're no longer sure who's looking back. And that's only the beginning. Another common tactic is social isolation. It often starts with a small comment about your friends. They seem fake, or a remark about your family. They don't get you like I do. Over time, you begin to distance yourself without realizing you're being cut off. Because the fewer outside voices you hear, the more control the manipulator has over your world. These strategies aren't random. They follow a pattern, an invisible script that many people, consciously or not, use to gain power over others. And understanding these tactics isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about taking back control of your life. But how does this control sink in so deeply, even when you're a smart, self-aware person? Because it plays with your emotional rhythm. One of the most powerful tools manipulators use is intermittent reinforcement, a cycle of unpredictability that turns your emotional state into a gamble. They alternate between affection and coldness. One day they're warm, kind, even loving. The next they're distant, cold, or hostile. And the worst part? They never explain why. This creates confusion, and confusion leads to obsession. You start chasing the good version of them, believing that if you just try harder, if you're better, more patient, more loving, they'll return to who they were. But that version, it was never real. It was bait. This is the same psychological trick used in casinos. The unpredictable reward creates a chemical loop in your brain, flooding it with dopamine in short, powerful bursts. You become addicted, not to the person, but to the cycle. Then comes the constant criticism, carefully wrapped in constructive feedback, or just being honest. You're told you're too emotional, too selfish, too needy. Your achievements are downplayed. Your flaws are magnified. Over time, this erodes your confidence. You begin to shrink, to second-guess yourself. You become dependent, not because you are weak, but because you've been systematically weakened. And just when you start to pull away, something changes. Suddenly, they're kind again. They apologize, they say they're going through a tough time. They promise they'll get better. You lower your guard, you give them another chance, and the cycle starts all over again. This isn't a relationship, it's a strategy. It's domination disguised as connection. And perhaps the most dangerous tactic of all is projecting guilt. They make you believe that you're the problem. If they lash out, it's because you provoked them. If they lie, it's because you made them feel unsafe. If they cheat, it's because you weren't enough. And when you finally break down, exhausted and emotionally drained, they say, "See, you're the unstable one." It's a mind trap, and it works by making you question your every reaction while excusing theirs. By this point, you're not just manipulated, You're trained to doubt yourself, to crave their approval, to normalize the chaos. And the longer it lasts, the harder it becomes to leave. Because when someone gains control of your perception, they gain control of you. And perhaps the hardest part of all is that, deep down, part of you still hopes they'll change. That the person who once made you feel seen and special will come back. And this time, for real. But what you're clinging to isn't the present. It's a version of the past, carefully constructed, selectively remembered. A mirage. And the longer you chase it, the further you drift from your own center. That hope becomes a trap. Not because hope is bad, but because when it's directed at someone committed to keeping you small, it becomes a leash. Because when someone feeds you just enough kindness to keep you starving, it's not love. It's control through scarcity. They give you breadcrumbs, not because they can't give more, but because they know how powerful hunger is. Emotional starvation turns you into someone who says, "At least they didn't yell today," or "At least they stayed this time," as if survival is a form of intimacy. That's not a relationship. That's a prison with velvet walls. And while the world may never see it, because manipulators wear masks tailored for every audience, you feel it in your bones. The confusion, the tightness in your chest when they walk in, the way your nervous system braces before they even speak. Your body always knows before your mind is willing to admit, and that quiet tension you've normalized. It's not normal. It's your intuition screaming in a voice you've been taught to ignore. They don't need chains to keep you close. They just need your doubt. They don't need to lock the door. They just need you to believe it's your fault for wanting to walk through it. And the longer you stay in that fog, the more you forget the sound of your own voice. But somewhere beneath all that noise, beneath the self-blame and second-guessing, your clarity is still alive, waiting to be remembered. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. If someone had to break you down in order to feel powerful, it means you were powerful to begin with. So how do you break free from this invisible prison? The first step is the most difficult one, seeing it, recognizing that what you've been calling love, loyalty, or even normal may actually be manipulation. And that's not an easy pill to swallow, because it means admitting that someone you trusted, someone you maybe still care about, has been slowly, quietly tearing down your sense of self. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when the shift begins. You start noticing patterns. You hear the tone behind the words. You feel the unease that was always there, just beneath the surface. And little by little, you stop blaming yourself and start reclaiming your clarity. You realize that healthy love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't make you feel small. True connection is built on freedom, not control, on encouragement, not criticism, on safety, not fear. It's at this point that people often ask, but what if I can't leave? What if it's a family member, a boss, a partner I still love? Here's the truth. Leaving isn't always immediate, but boundaries are. Even before you walk away, you can begin to rebuild your inner space. You can stop explaining yourself to people who twist your words. You can stop accepting apologies without change. You can stop giving unlimited access to someone who only shows up to drain you. And yes, it helps to talk to someone, a therapist, a coach, a trusted friend, because manipulation thrives in silence. It wants you isolated, ashamed, confused. But when you speak it out loud, when you name it, it starts to lose power. The truth is, you don't need to fight for your worth. You don't need to prove you're lovable or try to earn the bare minimum from someone who keeps you on an emotional leash. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not the problem. You're human, and your emotions are not a flaw. They're a signal. They're trying to protect you. All you have to do is start listening, because once you do, you stop dancing to someone else's rhythm, you stop mistaking control for love, and you finally begin the slow, powerful process of coming back to yourself. So the next time you feel confused in someone's presence, the next time you find yourself apologizing for how you feel or begging for clarity in a sea of mixed signals, pause, breathe, And ask yourself the one question that has saved countless people from emotional captivity. Is this love, or is this control disguised as love? Because once you ask that, honestly, you're no longer under their spell. You're waking up. You're remembering who you are. And that is where freedom begins.